So look at how it came out. So I'm going to show you one of the secrets to getting a silky smooth finish in your own home garage doing auto paint at home using your DA sander, an interface pad, some film discs, solvent, lint-free whites, and tack cloth. And that's what it's going to take in order to get this finish to look this good. If you're interested in seeing this, stay tuned. All right, welcome back to Restoring Christine. It's Bill here with our 56 Bel Air that we call Christine. The channel's Restoring Christine. I'm 2 years now into this restoration of this 56 Bel Air that I've had for almost 20 years now. And I'm painting her two-tone red and white, which is the color that she's always been since I've had her. We're gonna paint her with a modern GM Pull Me Over red. It's a bright red color. And then we're gonna paint her with 57 India Ivory, which is a classic color from way back. It's gonna go well with our Ciadella interior that we're gonna throw into this car. But I'm getting ready to roll Christine in the garage and finally set up and start shooting some color. It's gonna have to be done in several stages because this car has, not only do you have two-tone, but you gotta paint the firewall, you gotta paint the dashboard, you gotta paint the door jambs, you gotta paint under the hood, under the trunk lid. It's gonna be days. So this is the first day that I'm actually gonna go ahead and start laying down some color. All this week, I've taken off all this week to get this done. So the last thing I wanted to go over was this last little bit of prep work, which is critically important. You can't skip it. It's gonna make all the difference in the world between an okay paint job and a great paint job. So the last little stage, it's wet sanding basically, wet sanding. So we got everything primed, got everything ready to go, and now it's that last little bit. But I want to show you, you don't necessarily have to wet sand. You can dry wet sand with the right materials, and that's what I wanted to show you. What I'm doing here, we're going to demonstrate in this trunk lid and go over everything. It's that last little bit of prep work. So what I have is I have a basic electric DA. So this is a Harbor Freight Hercules. I love Harbor Freight tools. So you're going to need one of these. You're also going to need a foam pad, if I can get it off. What I have is this DA is a Velcro hook and loop. So you can see the diameter here. It's I think that's a 5-inch on the pad. Well, the sanding discs that you buy from the auto paint supply store are 6-inch. So what I have here is I have a foam pad. You can see I've been sanding all day. All the dust. But this is a foam pad, and this makes all the difference in the world. It's about 3/8 to a 1/2 inch thick. It's got the Velcro on both sides. It's got the cloth on one and then a hook on the other side. So this is what you're going to want to use, and then you're also going to need some wet sanding film discs. So what I have, these are from Sunmite, but I'm using 2 different grits now that I have everything hand sanded. I hand sanded everything. At first we decked it with a long board, sanded it by hand, and the last thing I did was I used 180, and then I don't have it out here, but I also have a 320. So I blocked and decked everything, but now I'm ready to go and get all those last little bit of sand scratch marks out. So I'm going to use my DA with this foam pad, and I'm going to use 2 different discs. I'm going to use a 320 grit, and then I'm going to use a 600 grit. And these are super fine. It's a 600 grit. You can see these two. It's not a lot of grit to them. I mean, you could almost wash your hands with this. It's very fine. So I'm going to hit it with 320. Then I'm going to hit it with 600, and then after that, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So let's go ahead and get that sand, and I'll show you the last few steps. So let me set up my DA. I'll put the 320 on first. This is going to go pretty quickly. It doesn't take long to do this, but it's an important step. I'm going to use a dust mask. This thing's been kicking up a lot of dust all day. All right, so that was one piece of sandpaper, and look, I'm not doing it wet, but look, it's not caked up. it still looks good. I can still keep going with this. You can see it's starting a little bit to gum, but not a lot. Not a lot. So now I was being very careful to look at it and make sure if I saw any scratches that I got them out, because I was sanding my hand up until this point, and now, boy, I mean, it feels like glass. It feels really good. I was also looking out for pinholes and looking for little tiny little flaws that I might have to hit with the glazing compound. But let's go ahead and switch. Now I'm going to switch out the 600. I mean, switch out to the 600. So there's a 320. Let that go. Put the 600 on, and then we'll go ahead and sand that. Sand it one more time. See, look, I'm not doing it wet, right? So I mean, it's not gumming up. It's not gumming up. That's just a little bit of dust. So the next thing I'm going to do, a little bit of compressed air. I'm going to blow all this down. When you're painting in a garage, that's a large part of where all the debris and the dirt and whatever the contamination comes in, is when it's all that stuff left in the car. You got to really blow it down. You know, keep clean air in your gun, clean air coming out of your compressor. But right now I've got this is sanded with 600. This is like glass. It is absolutely like glass. Now look, see it on my hand? So here comes the next part. I'm gonna wipe this down. Now, if I was getting ready to shoot this now, this would be important, but I'm using these solvent wipes, which these are these are lint-free. So this is especially made for this. As a matter of fact, you can see they're called solvent wipes. So I'm gonna use that as a rag to wipe this down. I'm also gonna use Impact Final Clean. It's a solvent-based cleaner. This has a naphtha solvent, isopropanol, and then a little bit of mineral spirits. So this is clean. It's relatively odorless. It doesn't have a whole lot to it. I don't have a glove handy, but wipe everything down with this, and you're gonna see what's gonna happen is it's gonna cake all that dust, but it's gonna also take all your hand oils out. So I should have on my gloves, but I don't have them handy. So I'm just going to quickly do this. And you can get an idea of the sheen, you know, just from the film of the solvent. But now you see it was pulled off all that dust. But there's going to be one more step. I'll show you that. So this, now with this solvent, is making sure that there's nothing on the surface that'll give you fisheye, that'll give you, you know, little beads and you know, flaws in your paint. So this is something that's very important, is to wipe it down with the solvent. You take another rag and wipe this down again. So again, I'm not shooting this in a minute. I'm doing this for the sake of this video, because I'm going to do this on the entire car and every body part, and I just didn't feel like videoing it and explaining it time and time again. So I'm just going to do it this once before I get into it. Now, here's the last little bit. Tack cloths. This is also critically important. Now, these are not your Home Depot hardware store variety. These are surgical blues. They're specifically made. You see it says base coat, clear coat. So this is for urethane coatings. I'm actually using a single stage polyurethane, but this tack cloth has whatever its tacking material in it is meant for these sorts of finishes, so it won't leave a solvent or a residue or something that will cause a flaw in your paint job. So now you take this, and it's very easy to just take this out and say, oh, I'm going to go just flat like that. But the truth of the matter is what you want as much contact area as possible. There we go. So now get everything all spread out. All spread out. There we go. So now that's how much tack cloth we got. And we're going to take this, and we're going to wad this up like a scrunchie for the shower. And you're going to wipe everything. And even though you saw I just wiped it with the solvent, and then I wiped it with the dry lint-free rag, now I'm hitting it with this tack cloth. I'm not moving my rag around, I'm just going to see. Now let's see what it pulls off. I don't know if you can see it, but there's definitely more. There's definitely more dust in that. So even though everything I just did, this thing is still picking up the fine little particulates. And that is what would mess up a paint job, particularly if you do it in your garage. You think you need a spray booth? You don't need a spray booth. You're gonna see how nice this thing comes out. It's gonna be beautiful. All right, so those are the steps. DA sander, the foam backing pad. You got 320 and 600 grits. Sand it with the 320, sand it with the 600. Then you come back with your solvent, wipe it down, wipe that down again, grab your tack cloth, tack everything up, and then keep it clean from that point. If you touch it with your bare hands, any kind of body oil, any kind of hand oil, go back with that final clean, that solvent, and wipe that down, because that's where it's going to suddenly cause you to have an adhesion failure, and it's going to come up when it's wet, which you don't want to have. But anyway, that's my misery. That's what I have to go do now. I'm doing that to the entire car, but I'm doing it in pieces. I'm getting ready to roll Christine in the garage. I'm going to throw up some plastic in the garage, mix up some paint. I'm going to shoot that roof. We're going to go ahead and do that next, but that's going to be the next video. I'm going to compile them all because it's going to be days of painting. So I hope that was helpful. Those are the last little final bits. Continue working. Until I see you next time, please take care of yourself. Cheers.